Welcome, friends, to All Things Writing, the podcast where we talk craft, creativity, and the wonderful chaos of getting words onto the page. I'm Brian Nowak, and whether I'm interviewing an author, offering practical writing advice, or just simply providing you a glimpse into my own crazy writing life, you get to hear what works and what doesn't while hopefully having some fun along the way. So, whether you're drafting your first story, publishing a novel, or just love hearing how the proverbial literary sausage gets made, pull up a chair. All Things Writing starts now. Hello and welcome everybody to All Things Writing. For those of you who watch the show, you're going to notice two things right away. One, the actual aspect that you're watching me from has changed dramatically. This has only happened one other time, by the way, in the whole recording of the show. And the reason it's happening now is because I got a new desk and I haven't quite figured out where I'm going to put the camera yet. So it's just sort of clipped to the front. I like this desk a lot better. It actually, I was having problems with my old desk, starting to hurt the back of my neck here because of the way I had to hold my head while I was writing. Ergonomics. It's a thing. We need to be very, very careful. If you're a writer, pay attention. Ergonomics is very important. It can literally end a career if you're not careful. Anywho, as they like to say, today's show I'm loosely titled All Things Writing, the House is Watching. And the reason I'm writing this is it has a little bit to do, actually has everything to do with the recent release of my new book, Henrico House. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. And it kind of got me to thinking a little bit about, I suppose, the role that the house plays, the setting plays. There are many, many times when we, as writers, will use a place or a location as a set piece, as almost another character. And strong setting carries with it its own sort of personality that I think is really, really important. And the setting gets evoked. The setting gets to change and draw off its own personal energies to sort of make the story move along in a way. So it doesn't always, while it's not always saying something, characters don't always have to say something. I think it's really important to keep in mind the role that your settings play. That strong setting has that. It can be welcoming. It can be extremely hostile. It could be decaying. It could be secretive. It could be happy. It could be sad. It could be romantic. It could be all kinds of things. It could be remarkably unpredictable, which I would argue that is probably the best way to have it. I'll go into a quick example. In my book. Now, this is the old cover. Don't flame me for that. This is the old cover of Crimson Tassels. The new one actually looks better than this. The orange didn't sell very well. I don't know why. I love this cover personally, but people really didn't seem to connect with it. So I changed out the covers. It actually does a lot better with the new cover on it. But anyway, the best part about Crimson Tassels is it starts out with this very friendly feel in the very beginning of the first chapter. Father and son in a barn together. That chapter ends horrifically, which I love. Giving this, it is what these events is what imbues the house as the setting with its very dour and negative feel, and this very dour and negative, almost an evil sense to it. The settings are really the setting that you give your characters to live in is going to affect the choices that they're going to make. In the very beginning of Henrico House, yes, I'm going to keep putting it up there in front of the camera because I'm very proud of this book and how it turned out. There we go. The setting of Henrico House is this very, very scary looking old colonial style mansion that kind of dominates the landscape. It's very dark. It's a very dark looking place. And while it's maintained, you can tell nobody lives in it. But it also has other ties back to it as well. I made kind of the old stable house behind it a set piece in that when, especially in the book, you have this possessed demonic horseman that shows up. I think also another really important thing is the old slave quarters, the bunkhouse, as it were. That bunkhouse carries with a lot of negative energies of slavery and the horrors and a very bad past for the plantation itself. And that is why, or that is how it starts to manipulate everybody's feelings. Think about it this way: when you walk into a spooky old abandoned house, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? As writers, we have to kind of keep that in mind. When I went and did the paranormal investigation of the West Virginia former asylum, what struck me there is the building itself looks like a castle, a formidable castle. What I always found striking about that is when it was originally built, it was built to kind of look like a very professional, very welcoming building. They had the grounds, and it was only supposed to house like 200 people when it first opened. It ended up, thousands were put in this building, crammed into these spaces. Terrible, terrible, horrible things happened there. But if you were to write the book about the mental institution, you would realize that it started out very positively, and ended on a very, very bad note, a very negative note. But looking at it today as an abandoned old house or abandoned old hospital, it's going to give you a certain feeling. It's going to affect your choices that you make when you go in. You're going to, if you're a paranormal investigator, you're going to bring in the right gear. You're going to listen. You're going to be maybe a little timid and a little frightened. Not as a paranormal investigator, to be honest, I don't really get frightened. I'm more curious than anything else. But it's a fun thing to do, a fun thing to sort of walk around and kind of let those feelings kind of take hold. The place gets a vote in how you feel is really what it boils down to. And when you are creating your setting, creating your world, consider that as you're building it out. How is this world going to affect the way your characters feel? In Henrico House, Helena and her brother Miko, they are not affected by it negatively. The reason they're not affected by it negatively is because they are used to paranormal investigating. This is not new. They've been doing it for a long time. They understand how it works. They understand the tech. They understand the techniques. All that great stuff kind of goes into it. So they're not bothered at all. Now, Charles, the guy who is the building manager, he has a different take on it. And he, by extension of knowing the house very, very well, understands its true nature. So he has a healthy fear/respect for the building itself. That's why you have three different characters, two of which share kind of a common viewpoint. And then you've got this third, Charles, that looks at the house and understands what's wrong with it. Why people should be afraid of the house. So that's your backdrop. But there are just like any character, a house, a setting has a backstory to it. In Crimson Tassels, that first chapter is what gives you that backdrop. It gives you that display of the history of the house. I wish I would have brought a newer version of the book in here just so that you can see the title. I'm going to grab one very quickly because it's here in my closet. Hold on. Let's see. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to show you the difference between these two covers just because it drives me crazy that I didn't read. So this is the old cover. See, it's very orange, right? This is the new cover. The second one sells so much better. I think it's just, I personally think people just don't like the orange. I don't know. Tell me what you think in the comments. But anyway, in Crimson Tassels, you have a memorable location with a very, 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 I guess it's a dark secret would be the right word, but it's not really a secret. It's not something that was hidden from Elizabeth and Jack Milburn, who move into this house that's been boarded up for 30 years. Never buy a house that's been boarded up for 30 years, by the way. If you want to know more, read Crimson Tassels. But anyway, that house that's been boarded up for 30 years has that secret embedded inside of it. So I think it's very, very important to bear in mind that that secret is there, that secret lingers. I give you the secret from the very beginning, but then Jack and Elizabeth sort of find it out afterwards. There is an important example in Arthur Conan Doyle's book, or story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. The reason I love that story, by the way, the reason I love that story is his description of the Moors. You can describe a place, okay? And you can say, there's swampy, marshy area with rock outcroppings, and there's grass that separates the fields, and you can say all that. However, if you don't build the atmosphere in, you don't know how to react. Atmosphere is how to react, not just what to react to. I brought the Dramatic Dead for. This is another one that I changed the cover on, by the way. This is not the original cover. The Dramatic Dead had a different cover on it, and I like this one a lot better. It actually sells tons better. The newer versions actually have book 1 up here in the corner, but in the very beginning, I personally love the heck out of this. When people start reading the Dramatic Dead, that first chapter, I'm completely misleading you, and I do that through atmosphere. I do that through the feelings of what they're doing. It sounds like what they're doing is very grisly and very not right. Something's messed up about that. But then you find out it's not what you think it is. I'm controlling that through atmosphere. I'm telling you how to feel. I'm describing you the situation. I'm describing to you what they're doing. Talking about the fluids and the sinews, and but it's sort of the atmosphere, the feelings that I'm tugging on in your mind during that first chapter that matters. Again, it's the difference between description and atmosphere. It's good to know that when we're talking Henrico House, there's a scene that takes place in the basement in the morgue. I can describe to you a morgue. I actually described to you the table. I did a lot of research into autopsy tables, by the way. I do like the autopsy and mortuary stuff. I'm actually like on several Facebook feeds. There are morticians talking about the mortician trade and the history of mortuary services. Interesting, it fascinates me. But I'm talking about a table, and I actually went through the process of finding what table would have been appropriate to have installed in Henrico House during the time period where it was being used as a mortuary. I wanted to know. I wanted to be accurate, by the way. Accuracy to me is very important in description. I'm not going to give you something that didn't exist at the time, or I'm going to try not to. If I've screwed that up and anybody calls me out on it, please let me know, because I want to fix it. Don't want to leave it that way. But but it's not that. The description isn't what's giving you that atmosphere. What's giving you the atmosphere is the scratches at the door. You are getting a feeling of something terrible happening just outside of the main character. At that point, it's Miko, just outside of Miko's viewpoint. It's the conversation he has with Lucy sitting there. It's the feeling of the blood rising and hitting his shoes. I don't care who you are. Wet socks is gross, but wet socks when you know it's blood, hey, that's even worse, right? Atmosphere. I'm giving you a description, but I'm controlling it by the use of words, building that atmosphere for the reader as they go along. So let's see. And I'm guilty of this, by the way. Sometimes I'll forget to describe scenes, and my editors catch me on it, and they're like, hey, you didn't describe the scene. We have 5 senses. When you are writing, please make sure you are using as many as possible. There are scents that almost leave a funny taste in your mouth. If you don't believe me, go the next fire that happens in your town. Go back and smell it afterwards. Smell the house. That acrid scent leaves a weird taste in your mouth. It's almost impossible to describe. Acrid's a good word. Bitter, kind of. Ugh. It's just not good. Temperatures, plummeting temperatures. For example, in the paranormal world, it's very common when you feel an area that is heavily haunted, you will feel drops in air temperature. It'll get cold. There's theories on why that's the case. Unsettling smells. The scent of at one point I have Miko actually smelling the smell of a fire, of a structure fire. And he calls the same scene. He talks about how he talks about root beer flavored candies. Love it. Root beer flavored candies, good stuff. But he talks about it there, and it kind of hits him. It keys in on an important memory for him. Again, it's all part of atmosphere. That's what those descriptions really do. That's why it's important when you start in a new section of your book or in a new chapter, you are building that. The emotional state of your character is also extremely important. You'll find that in a lot of my books, and actually I just went through this the other day. I was doing some editing on a work in progress that I think everybody is going to love. Someday when I get that one published, it's going to be amazing. Focuses on a cryptid from Louisiana, the Parlingua, for those of you who are interested. Yes, that's going to be a good one. The thing that was kind of striking me is when people become manic in books, sentence structure changes. Okay, they can be short and choppy because what you're doing, and I just finished reading Shiny Happy People by Clay Chapman, by the way. Let me show you that one real quick. At least I thought I would, but apparently there it is. Shiny Happy People by Clay Chapman. Highly recommend. The thing that I love about Clay is he's a nut, by the way. He's a great author, great guy, actually. Clay uses the sentence structure very, very effectively. He builds the sentences out in a way that you're really controlling the reading pace of the reader. You give them short, choppy sentences, they tend to read fast. They're more frantic paced. Long, flowy prose tends to slow you down. So when you're writing, always keep that in mind, that there are some times when you're moving along. Be careful not to put a long, flowy prose piece in there. You're going to screw everything up, okay? You're going to slow everybody down, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to throw the brakes on to your readers if it's a moving kind of thing and you need people to you know move along, you're going to see that in Henrico House as well. You'll see that become apparent. I use that device in my writing as well. That gives you a sense of the emotional point of view of the character at the time. The franticness, the however they're describing their world is important. If you were using the location as a character, don't forget that you can give it wants and desires and needs as well. I think the best example of that comes to mind, and it's over there on my shelf, otherwise I'd grab it, and it's my signed copy of Magic Kingdom for sale. In Terry Brooks, one of Terry Brooks' greatest books, in my opinion, he does an excellent job describing Landover. Now, Landover has a want and desire and a need that is communicated through the other characters, but Landover is the one that needs these things, not the characters themselves. So it's really, really a great thing, honestly, where you are looking at Landover's need to be healed. It's sick. And Ben Holiday is Paladin, who is Paladin. Ben Holiday shows up to help fix that world. He is the savior of Landover that is sick and dying. Had he not come along, who knows what would have happened. That's why it's important to give you need to communicate that through. By the way, Terry Brooks does a lot of, by describing what the leaves look like and the ground looks like. And he actually talks about how things improve and get better in that series. In Landover, things start looking better and more healthy. And, it's because the magic is being restored. In Henrico House, the house does have wants and desires, but the wants and desires are evil, for one thing, but also they're communicated through the character of Lucy. Lucy is an important character. She's the little girl that is the connection between kind of the house and what's going on under it. And she is the one that starts manipulating. She, as the emissary for the house, so she is the house in a sense, is manipulating Miko and Helena. She's changing their minds and ideas and thoughts and what they see and all of these great things. That is how the house gets to have its say ultimately in the storyline. How it's going to communicate what it needs. You cannot, when we're going through, when you're reading Henrico House and you're going to read it, go pick up a copy after we're done here. Go to my website, click on horror. It'll be there. Click on the link. It'll take you to Jumpmaster Press's website. Order a copy or come see me at a show. I want you to come see me at a show. Anyway, not my point. When you are putting together a book like this, take those secrets and don't front load them. I don't want to know all the secrets at the very beginning. I've seen that happen before. New writers especially will try and build in every single secret in that first chapter. Can't do that. Give me something to live for. Reveal that plot point that's going to keep me reading, get me hooked, but then start, releasing your secrets little by little as you go along. There's nothing wrong with having a secret be sort of the central mystery that you're trying to solve, and then having your subplot points get fixed along the way as the character moves through. I think it's a little bit easier when you're doing a mystery novel because mysteries depend on secrets, right? But as they unravel the mystery, more and more secrets pop up. So that's kind of really important to understand, that we are using those other minor secrets as almost plot points to move everything along. Okay, so don't front end load your secrets, please, as you're writing. It's important. Let's see. There has to be a consequence of action. When you are interacting with your world that you've built, with this place that you've built, there has to be consequences for your actions. Shiny Happy People, by the way, that I just talked about, Clay's book, is very good about making it clear that there's going to be actions to basically embracing that environment. And it does sort of ask the question, is it better to just take the pill and become part of that world? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it's better to do that. There are a couple of times when you can almost feel the main character, Kira, I think, who is very tempted to just give in, because it's easier not to fight. And if you don't fight, then you just become part of it, and it's fine. It's fine. In Henrico House, by the way, I don't really give them that option. They know it's wrong, but the reason they know it's wrong is because, honestly, the love between brother and sister. Well, actually, now that I think about it, Helena has an instance where she's very tempted just to give up and kind of embrace a role in the house, and just be there, be part of the house, become sort of Lucy's de facto mother, or at least in her mind, that's what she's thinking. It's kind of messed up, honestly, but there's an impact or there's going to be consequences for embracing the house. The consequence being losing yourself, losing your soul to the house itself. It has to be a high enough. It has to be a high enough cost that it's real to the reader. It can't be, well, if she gives herself to that, maybe they'll stop bugging her. It has to be something that is. It has to be existential. It has to be a crisis that they're not going to come back from, no matter what they do. That's important if you're going to build in that consequence of action. I think in Henrico House, I am building up an expectation based on the history that I'm presenting you for the house. In the very beginning, they talk about kind of the history of the house, where its role in slavery, it's quadruple murder suicide that takes place. Actually, it's triple murder suicide. Quadruple? Anyway, is the murder suicide that takes place there. It just being a mortuary. There is something very disturbing about mortuaries to most readers. The idea of the dead. Interestingly enough, in the Western culture, we look at the world. We look at that world very differently. People get creeped out by the old, the idea of dead people, dead things. That bothers them. Other societies don't view it the same way. So, but I am playing on that in terms of building the expectation that something bad's going to happen because it's a mortuary. When Miko's in the basement and he sees all of the coolers up against the wall where bodies were once held, that bothers him. That should bother most people. It's creepy. It's macabre. It's wonderful. So we are creating this expectation that something bad is going to happen within those confines. Henrico House does rely a lot on this idea of haunting, a haunted house, a haunted mansion. Because of that, we're seeing a lot of visuals in terms of the ghosts in the house. For example, when we first meet Lucy, she's standing there in the house looking at them, and she says, "Why are you here?" Wonderfully disturbing. We get some other haunting characters that show up. Lucy's father. There's a paranormal room that actually collapses on Helena, but it's not real. It's not real. It doesn't really happen. It's only designed to make Helena think bad things are happening to her. The skeletal remains that are clawing their way through the mortuary, that is not real. It's all haunting, or it's all a haunted thing. But we are using that to impact Helena and Miko's minds, change their minds, make them feel like they are in legitimate danger. Maybe they are in legitimate danger if you really think about it. Actually, they are in legitimate danger. Anyway, there is an older evil that's hidden below the house, which sort of exposes itself. But it's a very, it's almost a distilled evil at that point. It's an evil that has been built upon itself for so long now, it doesn't know, any amount of positive energy that you dumped on that situation was never going to fix it anyway. There's no amount of priests trying to get the evil out of there that was going to work, because it was so entrenched in everything, in every square foot of that house, under the house, around the house. The house was evil. And that is described through their interaction when they get to the cave. There's things that happen down there. They get attacked, and it's these attacks mess with their psyche, start screwing around with their minds. But that's actually the most fun, honestly, in I think in writing like this. So I want to give you guys, if you've watched the end of the video, thank you very much. I appreciate that. If you would like to, I would love for you guys to do a writing exercise for me. And if you send it to me, I will take a look at it, and I will say, hey, very cool, appreciate it. Here's what I want you to do. Take an ordinary room, okay? Describe it as a safe, comforting space. Don't change its basic contents, okay? But I want you to write it. You want to write it that way, but I want you to write it also as a haunting, disturbing place, okay? Maybe write about how a secret is there and just waiting. So send that to me at Brian the Writer at briannowak.com. I will take a look, and I will let you know what I think. I think it'll be a fun little exercise, and I think, grand scheme of things, you guys will do some great work. I know you will. Thank you for watching. I really enjoy it. Please do me a favor, run out, pick up a copy of Henrico House. Again, you can go to briannowak.com, pick up a copy. I think you're going to love it. I know I enjoyed writing it. All of the feedback is very, very positive. I mean, for that matter, while you're there, pick up copies of my other books. The Dramatic Dead series, Crimson Tassels, or The App, or whatever. Come on out. Grab some books. Also, don't be afraid to come out and see me in person. All right. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. You guys are absolutely 100% the best. And I think I don't know, can't say enough. Thank you, guys. All right, so this has been it for All Things Writing. I appreciate you joining me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. This is Brian the Writer with All Things Writing, signing off. And that's going to do it for this episode of All Things Writing. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe so you don't miss upcoming interviews, writing advice, and behind-the-scenes looks at my own projects. And if you've got questions or there's a topic you'd love for me to cover, please drop me a line in the comments. I read them, and I'm always looking for ideas that might help you write the next page a little better, and me for that matter. Thanks for listening, keep writing, and I'll see you on the next one.